Hi, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful week and you're ready for another Translator Insider. Let's talk translation. So, this month of March, incredible, we are already in March. We will be talking about ethics and more specifically about our code of ethics. I will refer to the OSIT code of ethics, which is one of the codes of ethics that I have to comply with. And I think it's a very comprehensive one, a very good one. So I'll be addressing several ethical issues in our profession that need to be spoken about and that sometimes are a little misunderstood, both by clients and colleagues. So stick around for another Translator Insider. And we are going to start this March dedicated to ethics and ethical issues with something that sometimes comes about. And for example, I get asked a lot of questions in regards to this, not specifically by clients or other colleagues, but sometimes in social gatherings, people in general sometimes are a little curious about this, which is dealing with foul language, with swearing, and how do translators deal with that? Do we translate swearing, or we refuse to do it, or we simply change it in order to eliminate the swearing? Well, this is very, very, very clear in our code of ethics, and this is something that we really need to get the record straight. We never change a translation to smooth it, to emphasize it, or anything else. If there is swearing in the original, the translation shall have it as well. It doesn't matter if you think it's offensive. It's not your words, it's not your text, it is someone else's. Your job is simply translate the text from one language to another. You're just making the conversion and enabling that communication to happen between two cultures. You never change it for any reason. Any reason. It's not our call, it's not our job. So when I get asked this question, it's always a clear-cut answer, really. It doesn't, it's one of those things that I don't really need to think much about it. I just tentatively or clearly say, no, I do not change it. Yes, I do have to translate swearing. If there is an F word in the original text, I have to translate that F word. That's how it is. So you must translate the full message. We must, our translation shall have the same impact on the target readership as it had on the original one, so on the source readership. It's as simple as that. So if it's something to cause an impact, if it's something to offend or to have a more, I would say, distasteful language, if you accept the job, your job is to translate it, and you should translate it. You must translate it. It's not even a question you should, you must. It's your job. There's no negotiation. Can I change it a little bit? Can I make it this? Can I make it that? There is no negotiation here. Our job is just to convert the text from one language into another. So whatever is written in there, we have to translate it. The same happens with interpreters. And it's even more difficult with interpreters, I must say, because, for example, if they are in an interpreted encounter and for example, one of the parts is really upset and really swearing, and you know, actually the interpreter has to convey that message and that strength, that energy, which I think it must be horrible. It must be really difficult, because obviously, if you're not a swearing person, if you really don't like that sort of language, it would be really hard for you to be doing all of that. But that's our job, and that's how we have to do it. We cannot change it in any shape or form. It's in our code of ethics, and I'll leave a link below to Ozit's code of ethics, so you can read and you can actually know a little bit more about this. So as I said, it has to have the same impact, and we must be accurate to the message. So one of the things that, for example, and it has no swearing involved, it's just the question of message being passed and having exactly the same impact and the same strength, is, for example, the example of the Disney movie Frozen, which is very fresh in my mind because I've got a 5-year-old daughter who loves the movie. And in my opinion, the Brazilian translation is much better done than the Portuguese from Portugal, the European Portuguese, because the original song, Let It Go, it's an energetic song. It's about to free. So Elsa was freeing herself from that fear of that power that she had of freezing everything. And she says, let it go. And when you say let it go, it's free yourself from it. That's what it means. So, and in the Brazilian translation, actually, they managed to find a word that passes that energy. So they say, livre estou. But obviously, my accent is not correct for that, which is, I'm free. Whilst the Portuguese translation says já passou. And já passou, if you translate it back into English, it would be just simply, that's fine, that's okay, it's all gone. And this is actually smoothing the message of the original, let it go, let it go. So it's a totally different way of passing the message, and I think that is wrong. In my view, that would be wrong. So you need to have exactly the same impact, the same energy, the same everything. If you read the original, the people that read the translation must have exactly the same reaction as the people that read the original. That's as simple as that. We cannot change the meaning to smooth it up or to emphasize it, whatever, because that's how it is. If the message is offensive, we cannot change it. Simple. We cannot smooth it to make it less offensive, or we cannot emphasize it if it's something that we think should be emphasized. So our opinion shall never be involved in the translation. Obviously, when there's professional matters, of course, our professional judgment should always be applied. But in terms of linguistics and in terms of how we're going to pass that message, our opinion doesn't count. If we think it should be emphasized or if we think it should be smoothed up because it's foul language, our opinion doesn't really matter in that, because our job is just simply to pass the message, convert from one language into another. So if the source test is really too offensive for us, we can simply reject the project. We are not forced to accept every single project that we receive. So if we think we are not qualified enough for the project, we can reject it. If we think that for our moral reasons or personal ethical reasons, we shall not do that project because it's not in sync with who we are, we can reject it. And the same happens if the project has a little bit of swearing and you are not comfortable in translating such type of language. You can simply explain to the client, say, well, I would love to help you. However, this project, the language used may be a little bit too strong for my taste, and I'm not prepared to translate it, I'm afraid. And you can reject it. It's perfectly fine. Of course, you're going to lose a client, but you have to accept that if you are not prepared to do that job because of that language, you must be prepared that the client may not come back because they think, oh, well, they don't accept the job just because it has some swearing. Because for some people may be okay. And if, for example, you are translating a movie or something like that, and we know that in movies that is unfortunately quite common, so we have to do that. So this is the rule. You can reject the project because you do not feel comfortable in translating that sort of language, or it's not in sync with who you are, whatever. You can. However, you cannot apply your moral compass, your own taste, into that translation in order to make it more acceptable to you. It is not about you as a translator, it is about the author. The translated text is not yours, it's still the author's. You are just the vehicle that allows that text to be understood by another community that speaks another language. So bear this in mind because it is very important. It is very simple to understand for most of us. Sometimes it might create a bit of an issue because we don't want to lose clients, and obviously juggling this is complicated, but we really need to understand that if we are not prepared to do it, then the best option is to reject the job rather than change the text that we are translating, because that would go against our code of ethics, and that is never okay. And that's all for today. I hope you really enjoyed this first Insider of March. We had a little pause last week and we start the month with our Ethics Month. And we will be talking about other ethical issues this month. Today we spoke about swearing and how we translate swearing, or if we can translate or not translate or whatever. And we found out that we have to if we accept the job. So I will leave the link to our Aussie Code of Ethics in case you want to have a look. I will also put the COL Code of Ethics as well, so you can also have a look, because both Code of Ethics will mention the same thing. We have to be accurate, we must to be truthful in our translation, and we cannot change it in any shape or form. So I hope you really like, but if you have any questions in regards to this issue, if you are a translator starting out and you really want to know in what instances you can change it, or because you can't, I'm telling you straight away, you can't change the original for any shape or form. And in the future, I'll be doing a video about creative translation, which is a little different. Sometimes we need to be creative when there is no direct translation for a thing, for a certain word, and that happens sometimes with English and Portuguese. However, that is not changing the meaning of the translation, that is not changing the original, it is simply conveying the message correctly and accurately, and we will see why. This is simply the question of smoothing it up because of swearing or any other issue, and that's not okay. But if you have any questions about this, if you would like a little bit more of a clarification, please feel free to leave your comment below, and I will be very, very happy to answer all your queries. Or if you have any suggestions about any topic that you would like to see discussed in our Insiders, please do send me a little comment with your suggestions and I'll be very, very happy to consider it. Before I go, I would like to wish you all a very good week and ask you, put a like, subscribe the channel, and click on the bell so you get a notification of a new insider every week. Before I go, and once again, I wish you all a very, very, very good week. Thank you all for watching. See you next time. Bye.